Coalcliff Colliery started back in 1876, with coal first being won in 1877. In those days they had a jetty out to sea, about 500 metres out to sea, and coal was loaded into 2 sailing ships and transported to Sydney. The South Coast Railway line came through here at Coalcliff about 1906, and the Coalcliff Collieries then decided that this would be an appropriate time to move its operations from the jetty mine area over here to Coalcliff. The Bulli coal seam that outcrops just above the sea was really the first coal that was discovered in Australia. A group of shipwrecked sailors that had shipwrecked in Victoria were making their way back to Sydney and had encamped themselves along the Illawarra coastline. So it is really the birthplace of coal and coal mining here in Australia.
The 8th Australian shipwreck, the Sydney Cove, came ashore at what is now known as Preservation Island. 17 of the survivors decided to make the journey back to Botany Bay on the ship's longboat, but the men were soon cast ashore again, forcing them to make the trip up the east coast of Australia by foot. At Austinmere, south of Sydney, only 5 of the men were still alive, and they found and used coal to light a fire. Only 3 of the men eventually reached Port Jackson alive, and they reported their use of coal immediately to the authorities. Directly
below the shaft here, there was a series of stables that were in operation in the probably from about 1910 to about 1930, maybe 1940. The horses were taken underground at the beginning of the week and would spend most of the week underground in stables where they were fed and cared for. They would go underground Monday, come out Friday and spend 2 days in the sun, then back underground again. In the 100 years it operated from 1877 to 1977, it had literally gone from the very primitive, very simple handwork operations using horses, loading out on the seashore to the south of here. By about 1969, this complex of Coalcliff Colliery and Illawarra Coke were probably one of the largest mining coking operations in New South Wales. There was nearly 2,000 people worked here at this mine and coke works complex, and at that point in time we were exporting coking coal to Japan somewhere in the order of about 2 million, 2.5 million tonnes per annum. So it was a leader in the mining industry. In fact, during the late 70s and early 80s, the grade of coal was always ranked against Coalcliff. How does your coal rank compared to Coalcliff grade coal? Because that was the benchmark of coal quality for the steel industry. I work with a number of union executives, and we went from a period of time, we would lose 20 days a year due to industrial action, due to some issues, to one point in time in the late 70s, we actually went one whole year without having one industrial dispute, which I put to the credit of the leaders, the workforce, management, that we were able to put it all together and show that we could do it, and we did achieve it at that time. And at the same time, improve the safety performance of the mine. I was the mine manager here, that at one point in time I had 3 generations of a family, grandfather, father and son working here. That doesn't happen today. Mines don't operate as long and have that sort of length of time. So consequently, a lot of the people that worked here, particularly in the 50s, 60s and 70s, were family in some respects. It was a mine that certainly had a lot of camaraderie and a lot of association and friendliness about it. It closed because it basically depleted its economic resource.